Hey, I'm Jay Fazek here for the Rebel.media at the Manning Center. I'm here with Gad Saad, and we're here to talk about a whole slew of issues. One of the issues that he's going to talk about is censorship on campus that's happening right now. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background before we start, and then talk about the reason you came here and the issues that are pressing college campus.
My professional background or my personal background?
How about both?
So I was born in Lebanon, lived there till I was 11, and then we had to escape the Lebanese civil war because we were Lebanese Jews, so it was a bit precarious to be Jewish in Lebanon at that point. Emigrated to Canada. Canada was kind enough to accept us, and grew up here, and then studied in the U.S., and now I'm a professor for the past 22, 23 years. My area of research is in applying evolutionary psychology to consumer behavior, but I also speak out on a whole bunch of issues that are very dear to me, such as freedom of speech, fighting for the ability of everybody to express themselves.
And what do you see are the issues that people like to censor others on? Particularly, is it mostly Islam and feminism?
I mean, so it depends. There's in my scientific work, there are a lot of people who despise what I do because they detest the idea that we are biological beings. So, for example, radical feminists will hate my work because they argue that sex differences don't exist. And if sex differences do exist, it must be due to social construction. It can't be due to biology. So there is a group of folks that will hate my work because of ideological reasons within academia. But then, of course, there's other folks who detest the fact that I speak against things like Islam, Islamic doctrines, which elements of Islam might be compatible with Western values, which might not be. And of course, that also gets people all riled up.
Do you think censorship mostly stems from the postmodern and social constructionist view, or does it stem from the sort of feelings culture we have to not offend?
So it's basically the perfect storm of confluence of factors. So it's postmodernism, it's cultural relativism, it's multiculturalism, it's identity politics, it's political correctness, it's radical feminism. Put it all into the soup, and you end up with the mess that we're in, where everybody feels afraid of someone because they're likely to utter a syllable out of place and then hurt somebody's feelings or offend somebody, and so people prefer to censor themselves. And actually tomorrow's talk that I'm giving will be to simply read out some emails that I received from professors, from students, from parents, all of whom are desperate to find a way to get out of the conundrum because they're so shackled. And so I'm just going to share these emails as a manifestation of the kind of environment that we're in on today's campuses.
To share one of my own personal stories, my father, he came from Ethiopia, and one of the biggest reasons why he came from Ethiopia was because he was a refugee, and the reason why he was a refugee was because the political world had censored his freedom of speech and expression. The political world and the government within basically oppressed him. And so now we don't see a lot of maybe political oppression, but we do see social oppression and social pressures applied to people. Are you optimistic of the future of free speech and freedom of expression on college campuses in the wider society?
That's a great question. Look, if enough people stand up, then I think we could turn the ship around. Then the fulcrum can swing. But if everybody is succumbing to cowardice so that the bulk of this effort is left to a few courageous people who are putting everything on the line, then we will lose the battle. And so one of the reasons that I fight is because I want to try to compel others to join the battle. But it's too easy for people to say, you know what, let Gad Saad worry about this, let others worry about it. I'm busy buying my tomatoes for tonight. I got my daughter's graduation ceremony tomorrow. And so it becomes easy for everybody to succumb to the tragedy of the commons. Let somebody else diffuse the responsibility. We can't do that. Everybody has a voice. It doesn't matter how big your platform is. Participate in the big debate.
And so are you optimistic of the future?
If people heed the call, if people stand up and fight. I don't need to receive private emails from people saying, you're courageous, you're a hero, and here is some support on Patreon account. Don't send me support, but rather stand up and write to your politicians. Stand up and fight for these things. That's what we need. So I think, again, if people rise up and fight for these values, we'll turn the ship around. If not, it'll be a dark abyss of infinite ugliness.
If you enjoyed the video and you want to fight for the freedom of speech and expression, like and subscribe to the Rebel.media.